As a content creator, there are several metrics on Instagram that are really important to consider when creating Instagram Reels. However, there is one metric that stands above all else, and I feel that it's the most important metric to consider in 2024. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what exactly this metric is and why you should be focusing on it when you're creating your Instagram Reels. For those of you who are new to this channel, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. However, I'm also a content creator, and a few years ago, I started this channel to talk about all things social media, content creation, freelancing, and business. As I mentioned, we will be delving into what the most important metric I feel is for Instagram in 2024, and specifically for Instagram Reels. So without further rambling, let's get into the video. As a quick background story on my content creation journey, I've been running a travel account on Instagram for the last 1 to 2 years or so, and it's called @Kaylee_journeys. And I have been posting a lot of travel content and specifically Reels to there for the last couple of years. I also spent 6 months last year posting a reel every day to Instagram to see how far it could take me and see how far my Instagram could grow. I really wanted to learn from that experience. And one of the things that I really learned towards the end of that experience was one specific metric that seemed to be really prominent above a lot of other metrics that I was looking at. And I felt it was really the deciding factor in whether one of my Instagram Reels was doing well or not. And that specific Instagram metric is saves. Now, it's funny because saves isn't really a metric that's very visible on Instagram, and you actually have to go into your insights for each post or reel to see how many saves your post has acquired. So it's not super obvious to a lot of people who might be looking at their metrics and think that their reel is doing well or maybe not doing well, and it's kind of hard to decode it when it's not a very visible metric in the first place. However, it's definitely something that I tended to notice because I was posting every day for 6 months last year. I was really noticing those little things that were playing a part in whether my reels were doing well or not. And I started to go into my insights for each post a little bit more and kind of decode some of the metrics to see what was really pushing my content out there. And the one common denominator that I always seemed to notice was that my saves on the posts that did well were quite high. I actually tend to look at my saves now as a little bit of a ratio. So if I have a certain amount of likes on a particular reel, then I'll look at the ratio of saves to that. Having a look at that ratio sometimes is a really good way to go about it, because obviously if your saves are almost as high as your likes, or if they're kind of rising in that sort of general vicinity, then that's going to hopefully mean good things for your reel and whether it's going to do well or not. I always tended to find that majority of my reels that tended to not do as well virtually had no saves. That's not to say that reels won't do well with a very low save amount, because that's not completely true. And I do feel like aesthetic reels in particular are very good at this. You don't really have to have a lot of saves on your very nicely done aesthetic reels to actually get a lot of reach or to have a lot of likes or attention on them, essentially. Having said that, for other types of reels in particular, and maybe reels that aren't as flashy or as aesthetic, I do feel like it makes a very, very prominent difference. So the main challenge with all of this is, how do you create savable content? Well, one of the main ways that you can create savable content and really keep this in mind is by thinking about how your reels can help people, and one underlying factor that will really help people come back to that reel in future. So I really do think that the core factor here for savable content is to really start creating reels that are helpful to people. So whether you're a travel content creator like me and you like to post a lot of travel content on Instagram and reels in particular, it might be really good to start integrating reels that really help people out. So for example, I did a reel recently where I talked about how I got free camper van hire in New Zealand when my partner and I traveled over there, and how other people can do the exact same thing. And I felt that that did very well, because obviously that was a really good tip for people to save for later or come back to. So I do feel that my post performed a lot better overall because of that. Another really good way to integrate this into your reels as well, because it's not always the easiest thing to integrate educational content or helpful content sometimes into reels, but another way to do this is to maybe start a series of reels. Now, I have a series at the moment which is called 50 Things to Do in New Zealand, and I actually post a reel every so often, and it'll be like 1 of 50, 2 of 50, 3 of 50, and I'll actually talk about just something that I've experienced in New Zealand that I think other people would also enjoy. And I do a series of this, and it's actually another really helpful way to get people saving your content, because obviously if they see a place or something to experience, for example in New Zealand, that they haven't before or they want to in future, they might save that and come back to it later for their next trip. Now, this could really work for any niche on Instagram. You don't have to be a travel content creator to create a series like this. For example, you could be a photographer doing a little educational series about different photography setups. Or if you're a lifestyle or fashion blogger, maybe you'd like to start a how to style series where you style different outfits every so often and create that into a Reels series. There's so many ways that you can kind of take this type of content, but it's definitely something to keep in mind when you are making your Instagram Reels. Like I said, this isn't to say that you shouldn't do aesthetic reels or you shouldn't do reels that have no necessary meaning behind them or educational content, for example, but it's definitely something to start integrating into your reels because it will really help with reach and it will really help with creating a little bit more of a tight-knit community that are really interested in your posts as well, that really find value in your posts. Because the fact is, the more people that save your content on Instagram, the more the algorithm is going to want to push out your content to other like-minded people or to those same people again. So you'll really find people revisiting your content, or you might find that a new audience is just on the horizon and you seem to be getting an influx of new followers. And that's really because people are seeing that value in your content. I've definitely found that this has been the case for me. And the more that I do savable content, the more I find I'm building a little bit more of a community and I'm finding there's a little bit more value in my posts overall, which it's always a really nice feeling to know that you are providing value in that way because Instagram, as we all know, can be very, very much built on aesthetics. So it's nice to have that little bit of a deeper thread into your content and into your work. Well, I hope you really enjoyed this video and definitely let me know what you thought of it down in the comments section below, and let me know whether you've had experience with this as well, and particularly whether Saves has been really pushing your content out more, or if this is something that you're going to try in 2024. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you do because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one in future. And definitely let me know in the comments as well if you'd like to see more videos like this one or if you have any specific requests. But thank you again so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.